You will find that your Google Calendar is very similar to your old Outlook calendar. And we're going to show you some of the basic features to get you up and running. So first, we have to access our Google Calendar. So to do that, we're going to go to our app launcher once we've logged into our Google account. And we're going to find the calendar icon on that screen. Now, once we do this, you'll see that it defaults to a weekly view. And I have a very boring calendar right now, which is good for me. But you can change that weekly view to a month, a day, 4 days, or an agenda view. I'm going to stick with the weekly view for right now. And let's talk about having multiple calendars. So by default, you will have one calendar that will have your name attached to it. That's your default calendar. It will also toss a birthdays and a tasks calendar on there as well. The tasks calendar is related to tasks that you add in Gmail. So you may never use this, or some of you might find it very useful, but tasks themselves are covered in the Gmail video if you want to learn more. And then also you will find that you'll have a calendar for every Google Classroom class that you have. You can turn all of those on and off if you would not like to see those show up on your Google Calendar here. You will also have any Outlook calendars that have been migrated over as well. So those are a number of things that you might see there by default. You may want to add more though. So you can come here to this little down arrow and you can create a new calendar. And one example of why you may do this is to have a calendar specifically for class homework, for example. And that may cover your entire set of classes for one prep. And you want to make this available to students and maybe even parents to be able to view. So you give your calendar a name, a description, a location is not necessary. And then down here at the bottom, you can choose whether or not you'd like to share this calendar with other people. So if we choose to do that, by default, it'll say share this calendar with everyone at McLean County Unit 5. And they're able to see all event details. We'll talk about what this means specifically here in a little bit. But you can change this. You can say, sure, I want to share this, but I only want them to see whether or not I'm free or busy. Now you can also make the calendar public. And by doing that, if you share a link to this calendar with anybody, or you embed it on a website, then anybody can view all of your details of that calendar, which could be useful in this situation where we want to share out a homework calendar for parents and students to view. You can also change this to just free and busy status, just like sharing within Unit 5. And maybe you don't want to share it with everybody, but you do want to put in one specific individual and share it with them. And this could be useful if you wanted to have a shared calendar between coworkers, maybe for planning purposes. So I go ahead and create that calendar, and then you will see that over here on the left side of my screen, I will have a new calendar pop up. There it is, class homework. I can also change the color of that calendar if I'd like to. Say I want this one to be blue. And if I wanted to go back in and share that calendar again, I could do that. I could go back into the full calendar settings as well. So I have access back to all of those settings that I looked at prior. Another thing to note right here is that I can go into this edit notifications. And one of the neat things about this is that you can get notified via email for a variety of different events that happen on your calendar. So if this is a shared calendar and an event is changed or canceled, then you can have it send an email to you. You can also, though I won't go over the details here, you can set up your mobile phone for your calendar, and you can have those updates sent to your phone if you would like. But one of the neat features here is that you can set up your calendar to send you a daily agenda every morning at 5 a.m. And this will send an email to you every morning with your daily appointments, which I have already heard some people have found useful. Okay, so we've talked about setting up a new calendar and changing the permissions on that type of a calendar as well. So what if you wanted to search for somebody else's calendar? I mentioned before that you can take a calendar and set its sharing permissions so that it is open to anybody in Unit 5 to see your calendar details. Well, if you come down here to other calendars, you can search for another coworker. Right now I'm going to search for Sean. If I click into that, that will add this other calendar here to my calendar list, and you'll see that all of those events on that calendar have been put on to my calendar. All right, I can turn that on and off at any time. So this indicates to me that this person has set their calendar so that anybody in Unit 5 can find it and see all of the event details on the calendar. If this calendar was set to only see free and busy, then you would see these events and how long they lasted, but you wouldn't see any details. They would just be listed as busy. So that is one way that you can search for other people's calendars. And finally, we can talk about adding your own events. So there's a couple of ways that you can go about doing that. One is to come up here to the Create button, and then you can quickly add an event. Here we can give the event a title, say when that event is going to happen. We can have it last all day as well if we'd like. And then we can put in details of the event. So where is it going to be located? One of the nice features about this is if I put in a location, like normal Community West High School, this will actually now attach a map to that event. Each event that you set up also creates a Hangout video call. So if you're creating an event that is going to be shared amongst multiple people, maybe it's a PLC event, for example, people can go to their calendar and just click on this link, and it will immediately open a Google Hangout. And that might be the way that you want to communicate with some people in that event. You can choose which calendar to put it on for any of the calendars that you've created. Add a description. You can add an attachment, and this can be quite useful if you want to add a Google Doc to that event. Perhaps that is an outline or an agenda of the activities that are going to happen. And then anybody who receives that calendar invite will have access to that attachment. You can also have notifications attached to the events. So if Google Chrome is open, it will notify you an event is coming up soon. And then finally, you can invite individuals to these events. So I can invite Sean, and then when I save this event, it's going to ask whether or not I would like to send an invite to that person. Yes, I would. And now my event has actually popped up on my calendar and Sean's calendar because his is listed right there as well. So they show up side by side. Also, I want to point out that, and you've seen me do it here, if you click on a calendar, it will turn that calendar off. Click on it again, and it will come back on. So the other way to add an event is to simply click on any spot in your calendar, and then you will see this little event window pop up. and you can type in whatever the name of that event is going to be and which calendar you would like to put it on, and then create it. Your options are more limited when you do that, but if you want to just quickly add events, it is certainly the fastest way to go about it. Now you can always click on that event again and say Edit Event, and that will take you right back to the screen that we saw previously, where you can add as many details as you would like. So those are the basics of Google Calendar. There are some more advanced things that you can play around with if you'd like. One suggestion is to take a look at appointment slots. Those are kind of neat, but we're not going to cover those in this basic video. So thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.